Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Real Estate Coaching Radio, America's #1 trusted resource for realtors who demand authentic, real-time coaching. Starring award-winning real estate coaches Tim and Julie Harris. Get ready for unfiltered, full-strength honesty about what is truly working to get you into action and make you money in this new real estate boom. Now to our hosts, Tim and Julie Harris.
Welcome back to Real Estate Coaching Radio, and we are your hosts, Tim and Julie Harris. And I have to say, we have had a very interesting day today. I've had a lot of fun free coaching calls. I've had 4 today, and this is what made it interesting. On 3 of the calls, and remember, guys, if you want a free coaching call, go to freecoachingcallsforagents.com. On 3 of the calls, they were repeating something that Julie and I say often, but it was interesting. It's always interesting to me, for me, since we're speaking to literally tens of thousands of you guys every month. I mean, we're the most listened to radio show specifically for realtors that are, serious about making the most of this new real estate boom. A lot of you guys are longtime listeners, so you know all that. And it's really, I have to say, incredibly fun to have these calls where I hear you guys parroting back to us stuff that we've said, because it makes me happy that you're getting it. It just really makes me know that us spending this time with you guys every single day on this radio show is making a difference, and that is an unbelievably fulfilling feeling. But here's the thing I heard on 3 individual calls, 3 individual realtors from all over different parts of they said this, and Julie, you're on, right?
Mm-hmm, I am.
All right, so this is what they parroted back to me. I didn't tell you this, by the way, prior to the radio show today. They totally get the concept of the repetitious boredom and doing what you don't want to do when you don't want to do it at the highest level. They're like all over that. They're like, I've never heard anyone say that before, but when I thought about it after hearing you guys say it a few times, I realized that is where my growth needs to be. That is what I'm resisting. And that, to me, honestly, when I hear that coming from you guys, that's magic. It truly is. I mean, so I'm going to tell you guys, I'm going to give you guys a little confession. Just to prove to you that Julie and I aren't full of shit, and we do what we say we are going to do, and we are 100% authentic. Today is Julie and I's 23rd wedding anniversary. So,
right.
I mean, Julie and I...
Happy anniversary, by the way.
Yeah, happy anniversary to you too, my dear.
Thank you.
So Julie and I have been married for 23 years this year, and you know what? We didn't necessarily want to work today. I didn't want to do those free coaching calls. I didn't even want to do the radio show today. But we know that long-term success, being truly of service to other people, really living up to your highest and best use as a human is, comes from doing what you don't want to do when you don't want to do it at the highest level. And we are living and breathing what we ask for all of you guys to do. So, again, for those of you who have been hesitant, there's tens of thousands of you out there who are listening to us because you obviously like our jib-jab, as I call it. You like what we have to say. Maybe you even like how we deliver it. But the reality of it is so many of you guys are realizing that, the real estate recovery train is here, and it's starting to leave the station. We've been suggesting to you, and I hate sounding egotistical on these calls, but, there's no sense of, having false humility. When you were right, you're right. And Julie and I told you guys 18 months ago, 24 months ago, when everyone was still thinking the real estate market was going to suck forever, we told you that there was going to be a real estate recovery. We told you that new construction was going to come out of the ground like crazy. We told you that this was going to be probably a 7 to 10 year, maybe longer real estate boom and the best real estate market of our entire lives. And, slowly people have started to realize that. Now the real estate market is starting to repeat what we've been saying to you. Those of you who listened to us, again, sorry to sound egotistical. It's not my point. I'm just trying to be honest with you. Those of you guys who listened to us a year and a half to 2 years ago when we told you to get ready for this real estate boom, you are making unbelievable amounts of money this year. I just had a coaching call with one of our longtime students, Bill Bird, and he just listed, since our last call, and by the way, our last call was on Thursday of last week. He's one of my private clients. He just listed 10 houses for an average of $2.5 million each. So assuming he only gets one side of those transactions, with his broker, he's going to make $500,000. And he's in one of those markets where a lot of other agents still think the market sucks. He will probably sell all those, have them all in contract within probably 90 days. So, guys, there are agents who get it and agents who don't. Julie and I have been saying it's like a bifurcation of the market. It's a bifurcation of the incomes that you guys are earning. But it really does come down to what? The education that you're getting. Some of you guys are going back to the old ways that maybe worked 20 or 30 years ago, the referral only and the only over phone prospecting and the sort of the beaten paths. And then you guys are saying, well, why isn't it working like it used to? And I hear this all the time with you guys are running Facebook ads. You guys are running all these different gimmicky things online. You guys are doing all these pay-per-click stuff. And you're saying, Tim, I hear this all the time in these coaching calls. It's normal for you guys to come to these coaching calls saying, none of the things that I was doing in the past worked at the same level that they did in the past. And you know why? Because they don't work anymore. That's why. Now, a lot of you guys are then also you're in your mind, you're getting confused. You're saying, well, maybe these things don't work anymore because there's something wrong with me, as in you. No, that's not the truth. You're fine. What's happened is what you were trying to do just doesn't work anymore. It's just changed. The nature of the market's changed. Before, you could do something in real estate to generate leads, and it would last a year or two. Like when Julie and I sold real estate forever ago, you could basically come up with some clever real estate thing, and it might work for 3 or 4 years, and then your competition would start copying you or whatever else. It would be oversaturated, the idea. But nowadays, the shelf life on a really good lead generation, a passive lead generation thing, it's like 90 days. And then everybody's copying you. I mean, a year ago it was Facebook ads and, pay-per-click and all these other types of things. None of those things work long-term, but they will work short-term. And this goes back to the bottom line of really what one of our biggest USPs of our coaching program is. We don't want you just doing one thing. If you do one thing, you're going to fail. You have to learn to do 5 or, on average, basically, we suggest that all of you have 5 to 7 different lead generators. And when you do, you will have consistent income. That way, for example, if one of the things stops working, you will have the 4 or 5 other things that will more than make up your lead flow. The trick is doing these and creating these spokes in your wheel, as we call it, in the order that it makes sense, opposed to just doing it willy-nilly. So Julie and I are talking today about time management. Is it a myth or isn't it a myth? And we're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to be jumping right into the material that we prepared for all of you guys. So get ready to take lots of great notes.
According to the National Association of Realtors, only 10% of agents complete an amazing 90% of all transactions because they have a coach. If you want the production and performance that comes with being a top producer, then you need one too. Not just any coach, but the leaders in coaching today, Tim and Julie Harris. Don't just take our word for it. Listen to what HGTV star and Atlanta top producer Colette McDonald has to say.
Hi, my name is Colette McDonald, and I'm with RE/MAX in Atlanta, Georgia. I just wanted to take a moment and give a shout out to Tim and Julie Harris. I've been a coaching client of theirs for the last 4 years. When I first started in this business 12 years ago, I was very successful, did a great amount of business, averaged between 8 and 10 million a year. When I contracted with Tim and Julie to be my graduate level coaches, my production increased by 20% per year. I am now trending 30 million this year. That's amazing results over 4 years of working with Tim and Julie Harris. I highly recommend them. Tiger Woods has a coach. And why does he have a coach? Because he can't see his swing. If you do what they tell you to, you will see huge results. I am living proof.
Only Tim and Julie Harris provide powerful one-on-one coaching along with all the lead generation systems, scripts, presentations, team building, and business planning tools you need to dominate your real estate market. We offer affordable pricing with no long-term contracts, and our entire coaching staff are trained professional agents with top producing track records. Take action now and visit us online at freecoachingcallsforagents.com to schedule your free coaching call. There's no risk, no obligation, just a free, personal, one-on-one call with a trained professional coach. Join the elite 10% of agents who make all the difference in today's market. Visit freecoachingcallsforagents.com to get started. Again, that's freecoachingcallsforagents.com.
Okay, Julie, we are back. So go ahead and start with the what we prepared for these guys.
Perfect. So these are 4 very specific points, and we may get to all of them on a follow-up call. So just bear with us because this is really important. It's one of the most common things you guys ask for help on is time management. So we have this great article from Scientific American Mind. So there's a point in that in itself. Make sure you're reading things that are not only real estate oriented, right? So this is from Scientific American Mind. I'll read a quick preamble to how to be a better time manager for specific points. So the person that wrote this was talking about how, when you're younger, you can be late to things. People give you a little bit of slack for it. Well, they're just young, right? But she was saying now that she's older, wiser, and even busier, now she knows her lateness is less about a packed schedule and more about a cloudy, unorganized mind. Again, one of the most common things that we hear on free coaching calls, on our private one-on-one coaching calls, very common complaint amongst all of you. So here's what brain science has to say about taking control of your time. So again, from Scientific American, here's what they have to say about it. Number 1, meditate mindfully. And she says she'll never forget it. A former boss and I were walking through Times Square on a business lunch, and she said, "What's up with you these days? You're so on top of everything. Whatever it is you're doing, keep doing it." The truth is I had started meditating, simple, deep breathing for just 10 minutes every morning while repeating a mantra like, breathe in calm, breathe out anxiety. Breathe in clarity, breathe out confusion. There might not be any specific research linking meditation directly to time management, but mindfulness meditation has been shown to speed up information processing in your brain, improve memory, boost concentration, and make tasks feel easier, all necessary for making the most of your minutes. So here's an easy 10-minute technique, Tim, that everybody can do.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's the second point?
Second point, figure out why you waste time. This is something that you and I both have specific coaching calls on that we do with our clients. Figure out why it is that you're wasting time. Now, everybody procrastinates at least a little bit, but researchers have theorized that there are different reasons for it. Arousal procrastinators get a rush from waiting until the last second. That's those of you who say, well, I work well under pressure. Avoidant ones don't want to face an undesirable task, and indecisive procrastinators are somewhat paralyzed by how to even start a task. Most of us are some combination of all 3, according to Srini Pillai, an assistant clinical professor of psychology at Harvard. If you're getting a high from waiting, you can ask yourself, what are some other ways I can get that same rush? You might find that finishing early and giving yourself a few hours off can feel just as good, he says. To avoiders, Pillai points out that although you're putting this task out of your mind, it's still actually in there. On an unconscious level, you're having an anticipatory anxiety about it. I always think about, home inspections are the most salient example. Oh, my gosh, I got to deal with this inspection, or negotiations or things like that. That's the kind of anticipatory anxiety that we hear from all of you guys. And it still taxes your brain because the anxiety center is not really at rest. Indecisive procrastinators find that they're catastrophizing what would happen if they took the wrong approach to a project. These are our very analytical clients. They don't want to make a mistake. Our perfectionists. But you can always go back and correct course. So that's all about finding out why it is you're wasting time. Are you the procrastinating, the time-wasting person? Are you someone who gets really excited when you're working under pressure? Well, figure out how to actually manage that. Where do you fall into that category? Make sense, Tim?
Well, it does. And this goes back to the question. Remember, the topic today, guys, was what is time management a myth? And if you guys listen to the previous radio shows we've done, a lot of you guys cannot be put on a schedule no matter what, and that's fine. If you're one of these people that just basically doesn't operate on a schedule, there are alternatives that will get you the same result. For example, daily minimum standards. Whether you're someone that wants to be on a schedule or not, the daily minimum standards accomplishes the same goal. As long as you're obviously just following the daily minimum standards, or as long as you're following your schedule. Analytical people have a tendency to be the easiest folks to schedule and the best at keeping on task with that schedule. Whereas if you're maybe more driver-oriented and or expressive, depending on if you guys aren't exposed to all these different personality types, we'll just listen to previous radio shows. We talked about them. But the reality of it is it doesn't really matter. There's not a way to sort of get the most out of your day. There's several ways to go about it, and we'll discuss that on your free coaching calls for agents.com. Go ahead, Jules.
Okay, perfect. So again, how to be a better time manager. Is it a myth? Well, let's look at point number 3. This is a simple one, but it's so powerful, and I use this all the time. Number 3, be more grateful. Often when we're busy, we can resent the people or tasks that are making us so busy, but that might just add to the stress. When you're thankful and you're grateful for what you're doing in life, even when you're spread thin, it immediately helps with giving you the energy and the motivation to get things done, says Larry Marks, a clinical psychologist at the University of Central Florida. In one study at the University of California, Davis, participants who kept a daily journal of things they were thankful for showed more enthusiasm, energy, and determination than people who wrote neutral entries or kept track of annoyances. Bonus, they were also more likely to have taken steps towards achieving an important personal goal. Some of my coaching clients actually keep gratitude journals, and they all report back when they write down, just at the end of the day, 3 things that happened today, 3 things that you're grateful for, what a huge difference it makes to their ability to sleep, their ability to concentrate, and the alleviation of stress. So that's another easy thing to implement.
The interesting thing about being in gratitude is that, do this little experiment. How do you guys feel right now? Now, I realize that 99% of the thousands of you that listen are listening on replay, and that's fine. But chances are you're listening to us and you're maybe distracted doing something else. I want you to just take just a moment. Just do this little experiment with me. Ask yourself how you actually feel right now. Literally take your feeling temperature. How do you feel? Do you feel anxiety? Do you feel happy? Do you feel relaxed? Do you feel whatever you feel? So chances are 90% of you are writing down feelings, or at least thinking about your feelings and classifying them as mostly negative. In other words, your feelings are wrapped up in thinking about something that's happened in the past, or you're building anxiety in your mind about something that's supposedly going to happen in the future. So chances are you're not present. That's the point. You're living in the past, or you're here physically, but you're actually mentally and emotionally at some other place. That in itself, the lack of presence, is what gives us anxiety. By the way, have you guys ever noticed, the idea that, life seems to go faster the older you get? The reason that life seems to go faster the older you get is not because it actually goes faster. It's because mentally and emotionally we get locked into these behavior patterns and these thought patterns so that we never leave our minds open for new experiences. What do I mean? Hopefully all of you guys have been on a really exciting vacation where everything was new every single day. Literally around the corner, everything was a new experience. Did you notice that when you were in that type of environment, your day actually went slower? Do you remember, when you're thinking back, Julie and I went on our walk this morning. We go on a walk every morning. And we were, talking about our highlights reel for the past 23 years of being married. And obviously she and I had a lot of overlap. But I noticed that in both of our lists, a lot of it had to do with travel. So why is it that she and I remember travel so fondly? It's because when we were there, we were there. So when we were in Italy or in France or in wherever we were there. Everything was new, and you couldn't have those thoughts. They're vivid because we weren't thinking about the past or the future. We were thinking about France. Get it? We were thinking climbed up the Eiffel Tower or whatever it was. So the reality of it is that being present is a key to not only having a better quality of life, but honestly having a better quality of business. One of the best ways to get yourself in a state of presence and to unplug yourself from thinking too much about the future or the past so you can actually make time go a little bit slower, like as if you were on vacation, is by writing down or saying out loud the things that you're gracious for, you're in gratitude towards. Literally, I want all of you right now, regardless of your current emotional state, to say out loud or to yourself or to write down 3 or 4 things, or maybe more, hopefully a lot more, that you're grateful for. What are those things? I want you guys to do that right now. I'll help you. I'll do mine, right? I'm grateful for the fact that we're living in a beautiful place, that it's a beautiful day. I'm grateful that I'm married to a beautiful woman. I'm grateful that we have a beautiful daughter named Zoe. I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for our pets. I'm grateful for, well, they're not really pets. They're more like family members. You guys with dogs understand. I'm grateful for
boys.
our success. That's right, dog boy and dog brother is what we call them. I'm grateful for our success. I'm grateful for the impact that we're hopefully having in a very positive way on the tens of thousands of you now. I'm grateful for, I could literally go on. Health, happiness, wealth. I'm grateful for, we have friends coming to visit us on Thursday. I'm grateful for the old Ferrari that I bought recently that I'm restoring, because I always like to have a car project. All those things that you start writing them down, or at least emotionally thinking about them. The thing is when you're going through that list of things that you are grateful for, you are present, which is interesting. It's a psychological way of basically putting yourself, centering yourself. So when you're actually making the list of the things that you're grateful for, and hopefully all of you guys have at least dipped your toe into the grateful waters, do you notice how you don't feel anxious anymore? Did you notice how, the 90% of you that were having 90% of your thoughts be negative because you were focused on the future and the past? Did you notice how just by putting you in this little miraculous state of being present, by being grateful for the things and showing gratitude, do you notice how you're all of a sudden have a lot more clarity? Even if that clarity only lasts for a very short period of time, that state of being present, not thinking about the future or the past, is what meditation is. So when people say meditate every day, and, a lot of people have that associated with religions and all that, and it is associated with a lot of religions. But the fact is what meditation truly is trying to unplug your brain from the constant stream of thinking about the future and thinking about the past. You get it? So all these points go back to the whole time management thing. If you're having trouble getting out of the day what you want to get out of the day, accomplishing the daily minimum standards that we prescribe to all of you to have, that's usually because you are stuck in this perpetual mental cycle of literally thinking about the future and the past all the time and never allowing new thoughts to enter into your mind, never slowing yourself down and your emotional state down enough to really appreciate what an incredible gift life is and how lucky all of us are to be alive. No matter how bad, I had a free coaching call the other day, and the guy came to the call, and he was like, oh, my business sucks, and da-da-da-da-da, and I was like, okay, here we go. Then I said, out of the blue, I said, well, I'm sorry to hear your wife's leaving you. And he goes, what? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I said, then he goes, my wife's not leaving me. And I go, oh, okay. Then he started telling me about his deals that fell out of contract. And I said, well, I'm sorry that your car's being repossessed. He said, my car's not being repossessed. He still didn't get it. So we went through 3 or 4 of these. I'm sorry your house is getting repossessed. I'm sorry that, I kept on. So then finally got it, and he started thinking about it. And then it snapped after he kept on saying, my wife's not leaving me, my car's not getting repossessed, my house didn't burn down last week, I didn't, all these other things. And then he goes, and then I said, so how do you feel right now? Those things that you originally called me about to talk about on your free coaching call that were all filling you full of all this anxiety, how do you feel now? And his emotional state had completely changed. His voice on the call had completely changed. He felt less stressed. You see, being grateful for all the gifts that God has given you in your life, being grateful for on an ongoing basis the beautiful miracle that your life is, that makes it so that, ironically, you actually get more out of life because you let go of those stresses. You let go of those little bits of anxiety. And no matter what kind of shitty day you're having, and all of us have shitty days, realize the fact that you are in a state of, you are living the miracle of life. You are living of the miracle of life every single day, and you always have things to be grateful for. So Julie just sent me a private message to shut up so she can get to point 4. Go ahead, Julie.
Though I'm grateful for all the things that you've said. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
and it's
but
really
you don't
true.
have to be grateful if I shut up so you can get to the next point.
Well, one of the things that I always think of when we are on that topic, what you were talking about, where agents say, oh, my gosh, I'm so overwhelmed with this or that. I always try and redirect when agents are, I'm so overwhelmed. What they're really saying is they don't think they can handle it. And so, the thought to replace that with is, I'm so blessed with so much opportunity. Being overwhelmed is better than being bored in real estate. Trust me. And you guys all know this. So stop using the negative, anti-affirmation, I'm all overwhelmed. So, okay, so point number 4 is to try this thing called Pomodoro, Pomodoro. Not the pasta, but there's an actual great app, and I just researched this on my own iPhone. It's called Pomodoro, Pomodoro timer. And so this is just a simple productivity tool. So now we're taking you into how can we actually apply this on a day-to-day basis. This is a technique created by entrepreneur and productivity consultant Francesco Cirillo, good Italian name. The basics: set a timer and work for 25 minutes straight without any interruptions or distractions. Then take a 5-minute break. After 4 cycles, take a longer 15 or 20-minute break and repeat until the task is finished. So, Tim, this always reminds me of those days in real estate where you knew you had either a deal to negotiate, a bunch of short sale calls to make, or probably an inspection. One of those time-consuming, time-sucking things. And what we typically hear from agents, and I remember saying this myself, the only thing I'm going to get done today is to negotiate this stupid inspection. And so now I've already decided that I'm going to not do anything else productive except for that, and I am going to self-stretch out that task until somebody told us, I think one of the Howard Brinton people that we used to know told us, well, why don't you just get a 30-second or a 30-minute egg timer and give yourself 30 minutes to negotiate it beginning to end, at least put it in the other agent's court, and get your part of it done, and then go on to the next thing, like, say, taking a new listing. And I remember that really stuck with me, and I try and do that. Like, I procrastinate things like, bill paying and going through all those envelopes and doing all that boring work. So set the timer, 30 minutes. I'm going to bang it out, get it done, not be distracted. So now we've got this great
Julie,
new app that can help with that. But go ahead.
But, Julie, let's take a little side road here. And, guys, you probably can't tell, and those of you who are versed on the personality style thing, you probably can't tell what personality styles Julie and I are, and we're not going to tell you, right? We've had all of these issues. I mean, Julie just talked about her procrastination. I mean, that's very characteristic of someone who's analytical, and it's very normal. That's not that, but some of you guys have gotten to the point in your lives where you just have accepted it, and you think that that's just how you are, and you're not going to change.
Well, you use it as an excuse. Well, I can't do that because I'm like this instead of changing.
Right, exactly. And that's what you hear on the free coaching calls, right? I mean, they'll say like, well, I had one earlier today, and very sweet gal, and she said, well, I have ADD. And it's like, okay, well, so what? Who doesn't?
Right.
Her excuse for not being able to stay focused on anything was she had. So, you guys, the fact is that time management in itself is a bit of a myth. It just kind of is. But if you could kind of take the best practices and focus on what matters to you most every day, 3 to 5 things, minimum standards, and those of you who can keep to a schedule, well, God bless you. Frankly, those are some of the best coaching clients because they always get the most done consistently. But for the rest of us who don't have that sort of intuitive, like Julie is great on a schedule, I suck at a schedule, just the way it is. But I set myself every single day to do a certain amount of, this and a certain amount of that, and I get those things done every single day. And the accumulation effect of doing that for, 23 years has made Julie and I multimillionaires. It's made us so that we have the largest coaching organization that there is in maybe even ever, but I know certainly in the real estate industry. So, so we're told. So the reality of it is we are living, breathing examples of what we tell you to do. We just didn't read this on some brochure at the airport. These are things that we actually practice in our own lives and that we've helped others, literally thousands of other agents, to adapt to because it works. I really appreciate you guys. Honestly, I'm showing gratitude towards all of you. I appreciate that literally tens of thousands of you that are listening to us every single month, thousands of you that listen to us every single day. I sincerely appreciate the opportunity to help you along your path. Your assignment, your homework from today's radio show and every radio show is to reciprocate by helping others along their path by sharing this radio show replay with other folks. A lot of you do that, and I really appreciate it. So go ahead, email this. If you're getting this replay in email, forward it to somebody else, retweet it, Facebook it, or whatever else you kids do. The fact is, help us get the word out because you're helping Julie and I fulfill our highest and best use of using our experience and hopefully the way we can articulate these success systems, these paths of success. We pass those along to you. We're hoping that you then pass them along to other folks. Guys, listen, we sincerely are grateful for the fact that so many of you are listening now. It's a huge deal for us, And thank you. So help us continue to build the number of listeners, share this radio show, and we will talk with you on the radio tomorrow. Have a great day, everyone.
This program has been a presentation by Tim and Julie Harris, Real Estate Coaching. For more information on our real estate coaching and training programs, visit our website at timandjulieharris.com. Remember to tune in weekdays at noon for upcoming shows. And until next time, thank you for listening to Real Estate Coaching Radio with Tim and Julie Harris.